This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, and Sara Barron's with us again this morning. Hurrah!
Hurrah! Thanks for having me back.
Now
Have you
listen,
got a little jingle for Sarah? Did you have one last
I have,
time?
but I've got a big announcement to
What?
make first. We are not live, so do not text the show.
So
Very
honest,
important.
so true.
We don't want you throwing money into a hole. So that's why people buy houses. So look, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram though, still at Frank on the radio. So that's all right. Or you can email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Not everything stops.
No.
We just don't want to embezzle. We've got an anti-embezzle policy at Absolute. I don't know if you knew about that, Sarah. But
Decent of you all.
yeah, it's good. So look, I'm still throbbing. I'm still throbbing from last night.
Sorry, Sarah.
Is that a classic Frank Skinner verb choice?
Well,
Throbbing.
I went to the O2 to see the King of Shock Rock, Alice Cooper, last night with my 10-year-old. Who is the biggest Alice Cooper fan I know. It was really weird to see other people in Alice Cooper T-shirts. I've only seen him in the last 10 years, whatever it's been. He's been into him about 2 or 3 years. But anyway, you know what? He was brilliant.
Alice was.
Yeah, I thought, I've seen Alice Cooper before and he was brilliant, but I thought he's 74 now, And I went down and... we took a tube and boat. That was how we got there.
Romantic arrival.
Oh, yeah. When you're a parent and you're taking your kid to see... you're taking your kid to see Alice Cooper. But if you're passing HMS Belfast and the Cotty Sark, you can still do a bit of marine history on the way. Don't waste your educational opportunities.
When you say you can still, does anyone other than a school trip ever go to the Cutty Sark? Much as I love it.
I had a physical experience underneath the Cotty Sark.
Absolute Radio.
Yeah.
Saturday morning.
Well, it could have been anything.
You could have sneezed. That's a physical experience.
Exactly. So I sighed slightly as I saw it's
You thought the
treble
journey
mast.
of life.
Yeah. The circle. So it's impossible to go down the river for me without imagining an overview of the EastEnders map. I can't, because if you remember, there is a little white O2 tucked away in one of its little snaky bends.
I love that.
I've always thought they missed a trick on the merchandising for EastEnders. They should have had a 3D.
Yeah.
They should have had the sort of land in the background, and then maybe 6 inches ahead of it, the Thames, touch-sensitive River Thames. And one of those things, at the fair when you go around that bendy wire thing and it goes every time you touch it, that could have been the Thames. What a piece of merchandising. And every time you touch the Thames, it goes... I would have bought that.
What?
Oh, speaking of merch,
go on.
I bought Bars an Alice Cooper baseball cap and an Alice Cooper T-shirt last night.
Lovely.
60 quid.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Where were your seats? You're a man of means. How good are these seats?
Well, look, can I just tell you something about the merch?
Oh, please.
There's a slogan that he used on the cap.
Yeah.
And it's a reworking of an old slogan used by another musician. And I thought this was a beautiful thing. And you can have a guess if you like, but I don't know if you'll get it.
So hang on, Alice Cooper has incorporated
He took someone else's slogan and made it his own.
I'm having that.
Can you give a hint?
Is it a bit of I'm having that?
No,
Let's be honest.
But really, what he's done with it is special. I laughed.
Is it related to poison?
It's related to a famous crooner who is no longer with us.
If someone says famous crooner, immediately I go Sinatra.
Yeah, and what was Sinatra's
something about my way?
His slogan. I'm gonna tell you.
I did it. Okay.
It's it's old. Alice Cooper's slogan is "Old Black Eyes is back."
I love it.
It doesn't get any better.
Good.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is still Frank, Emily, and Sarah, and we were talking about the Alice Cooper gig I went to at the O2.
Can I just say, Frank, you know, Sarah, how I discovered that Buzz was a fan of Alice Cooper?
Go on.
I was on a dog walk with him, and we were just chatting about music generally.
Buzz is my 10-year-old son,
Yeah.
in case you're new to the show.
And he just suddenly said, quite brilliantly out of nowhere, you know, Alice Cooper's had the vaccine. One of the best things.
normally you need some sort of trigger to drop something like that in a conversation.
agenda.
That's not normally a paragraph beginning, is it? You know what I mean? It's a response. But I was very happy when you told me that.
Yeah.
But I saw Alice Cooper about 20 years ago.
Was that the last time you saw him?
Yeah. And there was things. Last time I saw him in concert, certainly. I've interviewed him, and he was on Room 101. Would you believe?
And
One of the things he put in was balloon modelling. And someone, a guy made him a fantastic balloon model of Alice Cooper, and we presented him.
Oh, wow.
And he's going, "Oh man, this is great," and all that stuff. And the guy came in, the guy was really proud. And then as we was leaving, we said, "Alice, do you want to take the balloon model?" And he said, "Didn't you hear me? I hate balloon modelling. It wasn't an act." So, no, he didn't take it.
Was he the one, Frank, when you interviewed him, you had that profound experience and you felt great love for him?
I experienced agape.
I don't know what that word means.
It's a Greek term, and it's a sort of tremendous, pure feeling of love. And it doesn't have to be for a loved one. There is a theory that's how we'll feel about each other in the afterlife.
Absolute Radio.
Anyway, I have had it. I was in a cafe and Emily went across the road for something. As she walked back, I had it for her. But that makes more sense because obviously I do
I'd just
love
been to
Emily.
the cash point at that point.
Yeah, that could have been that.
Agape.
Agape.
Agape. And so is it most noteworthy, I guess, when you feel it for someone you don't know at all.
Exactly.
And you just, a pureness fills your little heart.
It's a weird thing because you just honestly, they feel like you're, part of you. It's really odd. And I was halfway through an Alice Cooper interview and it happened with Alice.
Yeah.
Agape for Alice.
Yeah.
That's a good album. I would buy that.
Agape for Alice.
Yeah, old Agape's back. And it was odd because I grew up in the 70s. Alice Cooper was on the cover of all the Melody Makers and he was big, But I'd never been like a mega fan, and it was just an unusual random bloke. But now my kid is in love with him. It's sort of made it quite cosmic. Anyway, he does these things that he does. He did then. He comes on in a straitjacket, slightly bending the current.
I like he does his things. You sound like a tolerant nana. He's doing his things.
Did I talk I spoke about straitjackets on the show before. I only recently realised.
We asked the producer.
Do you remember I was there was an Absolute Radio Victorian Asylum themed publicity campaign. Can you believe that? It was one of the great marketing eras of all time. And it was us looking through... It's like Ian Wright in a straitjacket looking through a barred window. Absolute right. Faces for radio.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Anyway, straitjacket, I always thought was because it was a straight piece of canvas, but it's not AIGHT, it's straight as in...
Dire Straits.
In a straight, when you're in a straight.
You're right. A straight jacket. Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
God, I love to learn. Don't you just love a little bit of learning?
But who knew? When I think of how many times I've written straitjacket in letters to, partners, exes, and I've spelt it with a GH all those times. They must have laughed at me behind my back.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Anyway, I'm eating Emily has given me one of her brunch bars to keep me going.
So that you don't faint on air?
Yeah, I hate fainting on
Do you have
air.
a little like blood sugar? Are you kind of a blood sugar susceptible kind of guy?
I'm just like sweet stuff.
Oh, you do? Okay, you just need a little sugar kick.
I've started to get into that. You know, the old guy. Sweets, cakes thing.
Can I just say, it's not showing on you though. Full disclosure, Sarah and I, how did you feel about that this morning, Frank?
yeah.
I think we should raise what happened when we came in
The
this
strangest thing, now there'll be people listening to who this is a commonplace, but I walked in and Emily said to me, Frank, you look great. Really?
there
and I
it
said,
is.
she said, no, that is a great look for you. And honestly, I had made no effort. I have shoes, they are, what are they, kickers?
No, they're campers. I like that I've seen your shoes once for 7 seconds and I know what they are and you don't.
No, I think they were a Christmas gift.
We're not being paid.
Campers Christmas, that was the celebration. And we don't spit that on the desk, Emily. That's my catchphrase.
Not the first
so
time.
Anyway, I never know whether I love these shoes or hate these shoes. I really look at them sometimes and I think, I've actually been out in those. And then times when I think, ooh.
I do think a camper shoe, and just to prove that we're not being sponsored, I think a camper shoe does generally accentuate width.
Yes. But I like that.
You like a wider foot on a lady as well.
Because I'm afraid of drowning.
You're afraid of drowning?
I think if I fall into water with these on, I've got a chance of just flipping
They're going
my
to
way.
just bring you up to the top.
No, it'd be like flippers. They're so big.
Oh, I see. Okay, fine.
Man from Atlantis.
Exactly. Oh, I wish I could do that swim. You remember Man from Atlantis used to sort of undulate. That's what I'm calling his swimming style.
All right.
Do you do breaststroke or front court? No, I undulate. Do you really? And by the way, just a word to the wise. You've got seaweed on your ear. Man from Atlantis.
But the camper, I know what you mean, Sarah. It's
they are white. These are very
they're
white.
potentially polarising. Let's be honest about this.
I hesitate to say this because I think it'll look too whatever it's going to look. I've never liked a camper.
Okay.
And today, it was because where this story is going. Sorry to blow the end of it. It's just that I also walked in and was like, Frank. Hello.
Yeah, I know. And that's
look wonderful.
two women
No, what
saying
you
that
said,
to me.
women
which was so
saying it.
brilliant. Sarah said, I really love that look you've served. Served.
Oh, I did say
Yeah.
served. It's watching a little too much RuPaul and a little bit too much of the show Pose. But anyway, I want to say that Emily responded largely to shoe. She felt almost strangely like the shoe was the crowning glory of the look. I felt that it was a neutral in an otherwise spectacular but understated look.
I mean, I don't know how this has happened. You know, perhaps everyone has one day in their life when they
Today
get
is
their
your
look
day.
right.
Look,
Today
guys,
is the
I just
day.
want to say, I think you're neglecting something, Sarah, here,
Go
which
on.
is the thing we really, in some ways, in the Venn diagram,
I see where you're going.
this was, you see where I'm going? It's the jean.
It's the soft black. It's a
Oh,
soft
jean.
black on F. Skinner.
Well, okay. Maybe I'll just be like the old Doctor Who's now and just wear this as my uniform. Just wear it all the time.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This is still Frank Skinner, Sara Barron and Emily Dean. I was talking about the Alice Cooper gig. I can't think of anything else. He still gets guillotined, which he did when I saw him 20 years ago.
Guillotine.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's chopped off is the L in guillotine.
When you say he still gets,
Well,
is that
when
a
I saw
Signature move. Signature move.
When I saw him 20 years ago, his wife is the MC of the guillotine
his wife?
section.
I have questions.
Yeah, I've got questions too.
Is a lot of eyeliner, maybe? What's her look?
She's quite gothic looking. I was surprised.
As you
No,
watch
she's
her,
very power dressed, sort of office look.
No, do you know, I wish she was. I wish she was quite Amish in her clothing.
No, that would be good, yeah.
How did she carry herself?
She
as MC?
comes on in a cart.
Instead of giant collars.
Sorry, what was the question,
I was
Sarah?
curious if when you're watching her, a family member comes on stage. For me, is always an uncomfortable moment because I don't want to watch someone on stage who doesn't deserve to be there. So did she carry herself in a way that said, "No, this lady's got it," or were you like, "Get the wife off stage. She lacks the charisma"? Which was it?
Well, I think, a 74-year-old man.
Sure.
He doesn't want to. But there's no reason to tour without his wife anymore.
Yeah, there you go.
So he takes her along. And they're a very, he's like the king of shock rock, but they've been married, I think it's 46 years.
God, I'm very conservative in as much as if I find out that someone famous has been with their partner through the whole I become... morning radio, but
it's alluring.
It's alluring. That's the word I want.
Kath and I are the same.
I am
My
drawn
partner,
in.
Kath, my partner. If she finds out someone's been, as soon as when I found this out about Alice Cooper, I couldn't wait to tell Kath.
Yes.
That would cement him in a litany of saints.
Yes, completely.
And if Kath, especially if she sees the wife and they're not very attractive, she loves the guy. Then.
Yes.
Anyway, that's not true
do you know what
of
Kath
Cheryl Cooper. She looks great.
When you mention someone, Frank will say, "Oh yeah, I met so and so, and I met his partner," and Kath will say, with her sort of eyes will narrow, and she'll say, "How long have they been together?"
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
She wants to know the age difference and all that.
Which is interesting because you and Kat, there's a bit of a...
31 years.
So
Not really.
Okay.
Lied about that.
I was trying to neither insult nor compliment anyone.
What I loved about that is you just moved through it.
I just thought.
Whereas obviously the correct response was, "What?
No.
Get away from me, you monster!"
No, because I would never express a real opinion if it meant someone would like me less.
Okay.
But what?
You'd make a great politician.
Yeah. I think it was what I was born for. But so what is for Kath her cutoff, where she says this is appropriate and this grosses me out?
What, in terms of the age?
Yeah, so
difference,
is 10 years is 10 years fine? Is 20 years horrendous? Is 5 years fine, but 10 years grosses her out?
I don't know if she's got a formula.
Do you know what?
But you're right, she's 13 years younger than me. Which there would have been a period when I met her. If I'd met her when I was 30 and she was 17, that would be disgusting. But then you all get to a certain age where it just blurs into an amorphous grey oldness.
Frank, would it just blur if you were with someone who was 13 years older? See what I'm saying?
Oh no, yeah, I
it
was
doesn't
once
always work the other way.
I was once mocked on this show because I talked about how good a model in a swimsuit looked in a magazine advert.
Yeah,
and she was stepping into a walk-in bath. So I've got I aim up as well as a little down.
Okay,
yeah.
that's
I'm one of the
fantastic.
lucky ones.
Okay.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
So there was a lovely moment off air when Emily and Sarah both looked up Cheryl Cooper, the wife of Alice Cooper.
Desperately.
And both said, she is exactly...
Whatever you think Cheryl Cooper looks like is to the T what she then does look like.
Okay, you know what I think it is? I'm going to go
on.
if Tim Burton directed an episode of Sex and the City.
Oh my God, Emily. She's got to turn a phrase. It's exactly it.
Yeah.
I tell you what I also loved is that one of you said, and of course she's got one of those black leather studded bags. And what's great is in the corner of this studio is the producer's black leather studded bag.
Well, can I say, Sarah, your producer, I think also, oh my gosh, she's holding up the bag right now, and Sarah also looks like an episode of Sex and the City if it was directed by Tim Burton.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
She's the Samantha.
A bit more Hitchcock blonde, I would say.
But can I win you over? Because I obviously already love her because she's Alice's wife, but she said a thing that I really liked. And this, if you're American, this might seem like a commonplace, but I really liked it because there was Alice, I think quite sweetly in an interview had said, well, if Cheryl died, I wouldn't want to carry on anymore. And because he's Alice Cooper, the headline became, Alice Cooper death pact. So they asked Cheryl, is it true that you and Alice have got a death pact? And she said, no, that's not, forgive me, Sarah. She said, that is not what he said. It was just an expression of love. And she said, I could not enter into a death pact because I'm booked through 2028. So I think she's good.
Yeah.
My husband asked me once if after we both died, we would mix our ashes together, and I felt fully unprepared for that level of commitment.
Oh, no.
I was like, my whole life is enough. No, I don't want the ashes together.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Give me some
understand
space after death.
that. I think that's a nice thing to put on a card.
And also, you want your ex to be able to come to your grave, and just say, "Oh God, I never
The
appreciated
one that got
her."
away. Not you. She's mixed up with that guy she was with for 40 years.
So, there was something unique about this gig. I don't think I've ever been to a gig quite like this. It was a double-header gig. So, not a support. They had a support act called Creeper,
Okay.
who did the standard 20-minute support act. But this
Sorry,
Creeper...
I think I've met him. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so it means that the other act, which was the Cult, yeah? Do you know the Cult?
Can you
just know the
sing
cult,
for me as is
No,
your
I
way?
can't because I don't know
come
their
on.
work.
You don't know the most
So-
famous song from the Cult?
I
Anybody?
don't even know that.
I might be
they
able
have
to tell
passed
you. I
me by.
dated one of them.
Did you?
You're a lot. Oh, Emily D.
Who did you date? Are you prepared to say?
Yes, it was brief. When I say dated,
Yeah.
Please
you
tell
mean-
me.
Yeah, a little
Please
encounter.
tell me it was lead singer Ian Astbury.
it was Billy Duffy.
Oh, was it Billy? Okay, it was a central figure in the Cult.
I'm now, of course, at some point going to Google him and see if he looks as much like I think Billy Duffy will look as
Yes.
Cheryl Cooper did.
Yes. Well, let me tell you something about that. So it means that when you see a band who you really like, i.e. Alice Cooper, you'll put up with 20 minutes someone else, blah, blah. But
sure.
with a double header,
Okay.
you know, you're getting 75 minutes of another band.
Okay, all right.
And I didn't know their stuff, and Boz, you know, was 10 after all. So we sat, and they sounded good, but it was just unfamiliar. But the lead singer, I can't tell you now. This will have to be a clip. This will have to be an Ian Astbury cliffhanger. I've got to tell you about the lead singer because me and Boz were kind of looking at each other with our mouth agape. So more to come after this.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Sara Barron. We are not live, so do not text the show. You'll be wasting your money, and we don't want you to do that. Follow on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, though, and email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. I was talking about a double-header gig I went to this week, which was the Cult and Alice Cooper. Now, I once proposed, by the way, not proposed in that way. I once...
Oh, it's the only way. How else do you propose?
No,
at the Alice Cooper
If you'll
concert.
just let me complete this sentence. I proposed a tour, and I thought, you know, when comics think I've only really got about 45 minutes, I can't tour yet.
Yeah.
Of having 3 comedians, but like this, with all names on the same bill, and call it the 3 tellers.
Oh.
That's because they tell jokes. I know. But I
don't really like it.
Didn't get any takers.
I don't like it.
Well,
Frank.
the title doesn't matter, does it? If you got 3 top
Did
comics.
you sort of put feelers out and got nothing back?
I remember I said to Jack D, what do you think about it? He said, no, I wouldn't want to do that.
I wouldn't want to do that.
So that was that.
That's terrible.
So anyway, this was a double header, the Cult and Alice Cooper. And I don't know how, but the Cult have just passed me by.
Not me.
I had a sense, no, not Emily. But Ian Astbury, the singer, I sort of knew the name but didn't know anything about him. But he was one of these guys. There was a lot of tambourine abuse. He was one of those guys. And a lot of mega chewed from IA. And he started having a go at the audience in quite, there's a bit where he said, what, you call that dancing?
Oh my God.
To this guy, and I thought, well, that's a bit. And he said, that's it, though, isn't it, with gigs in the 21st century? This is what they're like.
Oh my God.
All right. So anyway, then he went on a bit, and then I don't know quite what had happened, but he said to this guy, I need an apology from you. Come on, apologise. And he went right to the edge of the stage. Oh my God. We're all a bit frightened. But the thing that got me, he said, "Oh, look at this! We got a guy in a shirt, Daddy." I thought, what? He said, "We got a guy in a shirt." He said, "This is a rock and roll gig, mate. You're in a shirt." Yeah, well, thanks for coming. He said, "Thanks for coming, Mr. Shirt." What has he done wrong, this guy? I think he had like a shirt with a collar and cuffs and all that, and it really rubbed Asprey up the wrong way.
Also, I think, Ian, things have changed a bit, love, since the 80s. Not everyone goes to concerts in black vest tops with studs on them.
Could you tell if the audience was on his side or if they were like, dude, calm down. He's a middle-aged guy trying to have a nice time.
Yeah. I couldn't really... they weren't booing or anything like that. I think there's a lot of love in the room for him.
Okay.
I think there were people who've come to see them.
Yeah.
We'd come to see the AC. But it was... And then at the end, he finished the gig and said, thank you for supporting live music. Well, OK, but what should we wear next time we support it? Seeing as you're the one with all the answers.
Mr.
Shirt. Oh, Mr. Shirt must have woke up this morning and thought, I'm Mr. Shirt. Must have really shook him up.
How was Billy? Was Billy playing? Billy Duffy?
Probably.
Oh, okay.
No, I think they are the central.
He didn't wear a shirt.
No, they were all. Asprey had a jacket.
What do you wear? What do you wear if you don't wear a shirt? A T-shirt?
I guess a T-shirt. I get no top, I think, is the idea, and then you have to sit.
Although you say that, how old is he? About 70 now.
No, I don't think he's that old. What I like is that Alice has grown into the role of like risen corpse thing. It used to be a bit unbelievable in the old days, and now he's really embraced it. But I have to say this, to summarise, Alice Cooper has got like the tightest band. They are brilliant.
Oh, wow.
His voice is still there.
Made me a bit nervous.
No, it's all right. He was brilliant. I don't know if he's got any shows left here, but honestly, I went as to support my child, and I like Alice Cooper. I came away thinking, you know what, still got it.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I've got a very key question here to your experience with Alice.
Okay.
I want to know who these days, broadly, is attending an Alice Cooper concert.
Okay.
So there you are, a gentleman of a certain age with your 10-year-old son. Who else is there?
I'll tell you what's interesting about me and Boz is that 3 different people said, you've dragged him along to an Alice Cooper gig. And I said, no. If you're looking at the drag marks, check out my campers.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have them on. Yes, there was a lot of middle-aged, if you're going to live to 120.
Sure.
Couples, husband and wife teams.
Okay.
Wife in Alice Cooper T-shirt or maybe dyed black hair.
Bit of purple.
There was the odd,
a bit of purple.
There was the odd, fairly standard outfit, and then you just pick out a skull earring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a whiff of Camden Town.
A whiff of it, and nothing communicates nothing communicates more about the rest of someone's life than the choice of the color purple. Not in the film and novel sense, but in a lady who likes to wear a little purple.
Yeah.
As a grown adult, is saying some things about herself. Now, I say this as a woman who has a purple jumper, but this is the exception that proves the rule.
Okay.
No? Do I seem like a purple lady?
There used to be a woman who owned a paper shop, a newspaper shop, when I was a youth, called Trudy. And she always wore a purple jumper.
Right.
In those days, you didn't identify people by their looks. She'd say, you know him, he wears a brown leather jacket. Everyone just wore the same. It was like everyone had a Doctor Who uniform. And there was a load of paper kids, as we used to call them, delivery boys. And there was a couple of West Indian kids who, from the days when they were like first generation, so they still had the West Indian accent, and they used to call her Trudy La Purple, which I always thought was lovely. Yeah, Trudy La Purple says, and it's just because she always wore the purple. It was a beautiful, poetic description of her. Trudy was not very aging goth at all.
Yeah.
I'm not. So let me be clear. I'm not saying that purple is always aging goth.
Yeah.
I'm saying that you never find, and I hate to genderize it, but it tends to be more of a female thing than male. I have seen many a woman whose thing is that they wear purple.
Okay.
But I've never encountered a woman whose thing is I'm always in green. It's always purple.
Okay.
And then of course
That's
there's that
interesting.
poem like when I'm an old woman I shall wear
Yeah.
purple, which is not my favorite piece of poetry.
Well, old women, when I was a child, used to have purple hair quite... the purple rinse was a
Well,
was a
and
thing.
now it's coming
Yeah.
back, but in a kind of
Yes.
I'm aging, but aren't I cool way.
Yes.
A light pink, a light purple.
I'm good for that. There was a woman I met as we got off the boat. Who was a woman who'd come up from Birmingham with a woman I would say was probably, late 30s maybe. She had totally pink hair. Mm-hmm.
Of course she did.
But she had the Alice Cooper T-shirt and she was talking about, she'd been to see Motley Crue not long ago. So
Sure.
he does fit into that rock crowd.
He does.
As well.
But he
So-
brings the nanas along with him.
Well, he brings adventurous nanas.
That's Frank's demographic, just FYI.
Adventurous nanas.
There is a... Do you want to explain it, Emily?
I believe it was a woman. Did she once date you, perhaps, Frank?
No, I don't think she did.
She was
One
a
never
friend
knows.
of yours.
But she sent
She'd
in...
been to school with you or something.
She sent in an email about knowing me in the past, enigmatically.
Hello.
And her email address was adventurous nana. She's probably just stepping into a walk-in bath as we speak.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Now, we're not live today, so don't text us, but we have a whole archive of recent things that people have sent in about the show, because some people listen to the show on the podcast and stuff. So, Sarah, what's in our archive?
What we've got here, Frank, is last week we were discussing, I believe you brought up the old ghetto blaster, which I heard that phrase fresh for the first time, which was fun.
Well, you didn't even know it had reached England, which was...
No, yes, of course. It feels like such a sort of urban American moment.
Yeah.
Delighted to hear that it had crossed the proverbial pond. So we heard from Colin, who wrote in to say, "Dear Frank, no sooner..."
Can I stop you? I wish you'd said Colin. Because that's an American thing, isn't it?
What is it with you guys?
Colin Powell.
Colin.
No. I'm glad we're getting into this Colin Powell exception.
Really?
Okay.
Colin is the rule.
Okay.
Colin was doing his own thing. Can you imagine? And then what would you have done? Would you have made fun of me?
Well,
Yeah.
I've never made
That
fun
I'm a
of you.
guest. I'm here. I want to be liked, and you would have just thrown me under the bus
Yeah.
But
for a giggle.
at least it would have been a Greyhound bus.
Yeah. Would have been a Greyhound bus.
But to be fair to Colin,
Colin, sure.
yeah, I think if I was going to be... he was like the head of the US Armed Forces or
Yes,
something. You don't want to
yeah.
be called Colin Powell. Because Colin
No.
Powell is that slightly older guy in sales who's been at the company for ages.
Yes.
He's a nice bloke. He's got quite bad
Colin.
dandruff.
Yes.
Oh, God, nothing worse. That's so interesting. Why colon? Now that I'm thinking about it, fresh.
Yeah.
Because I've never heard it independently of Powell.
Yeah.
Right.
It is a...
He's just attention seeker.
I think, didn't he pass away recently, or have I completely invented
no.
that?
Well, like you say, attention seeker. I think Colin probably thought, look, I know it's Colin, but it sounds a bit like Conan the Barbarian if I make it... Because you'd never have got...
It's clever.
There would
Listen,
never have been Colin the Barbarian.
It is,
No, there would never have been.
it is clever, though, because it makes you... When you do that with your name...
Yeah.
Add a little quirk like that. It's clever because it makes people have to think
Yeah.
twice when they say your name.
When Harry Webb adopted the stage name Cliff Richard, he was very careful not to have the S on the end. So when people said Cliff Richard, said he go no, Cliff Richard, and so he got an opportunity to say it twice, and so it stopped.
Although nanas still say Cliff Richards.
Yeah, they do. But, you can please some of the people all the time, etc. Okay. Anyway, what's Colin got
I'm
to
going to
say?
tell
Colin.
you what he's got to say. Dear Frank, he begins. No sooner had you mentioned the former trend of carrying a ghetto blaster on your shoulder than I see and hear a man walking across the square today outside King's Cross Station in London, lugging his huge stereo player and belting out his favorite song.
It's back.
Baby, it's back.
It is back. Please tell me this guy had a purple rinse as well.
Oh, if only he had. But no, what Colin continues to say is either you're psychic, although I'm not sure the Catholic Church allows that, or he listens to your show, Life Imitating Art. Cheers, Colin.
Well, I think, there was a theory, a critical, literary critical theory in recent times of the death of the author, that you don't need the author, that if Shakespeare hadn't written his plays, someone else would have written them, was the theory.
I'm not into it. Are you into it?
I think in this, I think I'm just feeling the return of the Ghetto Blaster zeitgeist.
Yes.
And then I'm expressing it, and now this guy is just getting the wave a little bit later than I am. But it's happening, certainly.
It is becoming acceptable to listen to your music without headphones. That we can all share in whatever moment it is that you've decided you want musically.
Yes.
I have a theory that masks and headphones were a tangly, difficult combination, and that's how this began.
All right, Mr. Shirt.
Exactly. There'll be more social theorising from Frank Skinner after this.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We're just sharing some previously ...
Yes.
Topics we've covered last week, actually, on the show. We, and some of your correspondence, we talked last week, do you remember, guys, about embarrassing sort of inadvertent phone calls?
Yes.
Yeah, it's that, for example, when you think your phone is off and it isn't, you carry on talking. That kind
Exactly.
of thing.
Ali...
Hold on, I'm just checking my phone now, just in case.
Have you checked- has everyone
That's
checked
what
their
it's
phone?
like.
Let me
As
just
soon as
check.
someone mentions it, you have to check your phone.
Yep.
Ali has messaged us, or written to us, I should say. I was once accidentally caught singing along to I Was Born Under a Wandering Star in full Lee Marvin voice when my hands-free in the car answered an incoming call without my noticing.
Okay.
Apparently it was impressive when played to the office on speakerphone.
See, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Oh, that unlocked this memory that I genuinely had suppressed, which is approximately 20 years ago. I was riding a bike home down one of the bridges in New York City. So just having this moment, I'm 23, I'm riding my bike, and the Liz Phair song, I think it's Liz Phair, where she goes, I I am extraordinary if you'd only get to know me. And I'd been rejected by some dude. And I'm riding my bike down this bridge just being like, I am extraordinary if you'd only get to know me. And someone else rode right past me. And that very private moment was overheard and I blocked it and it just came back.
Oh, well, I'm sorry about that.
Thanks so much.
I was, this isn't quite a phone call thing, but it is a phone thing. I was in 11:30 Mass one Sunday morning and my phone went off. My always treble
Frank.
check my... Yeah,
We've all
but it
been
gets...
there.
I haven't finished. I haven't finished. It went off and at the time my ringtone was 3 lions. I know.
So it was all gone a bit
Honestly,
Colin Powell.
I don't often get embarrassed, but it was like I was being folded and then folded again. You know that how many times can you fold a piece of paper? It's like I felt like that. I wanted to grow small. Oh, man. Just pathetic.
And we also
I
have...
changed my ringtone on the strength of that experience.
I can see why you would.
Emily.
We've also had, we've had an Emily get in touch with us. Emily Jane Smith. I was once put on hold on a work call and started to tell my colleague how gorgeous the man's voice was and guessing what he might look like. Suddenly he said, Emily, when you're on hold, you can't hear me, but I can hear everything you say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that could have been the start of a beautiful romance.
Yeah, that could have been like that David Niven film, A Matter of Life and Death, when the pilot's crash and he's talking to this woman on the thing, and then when he goes to heaven, he says, I want to go back, so I just fell in love, and they send him back. Oh, spoilers. The whole film is about whether or not they send him back. I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm going to get the Niven estate will be... awful.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
This has been a long thing of mine, that songs that have things in parentheses or brackets afterwards, I always find that why did they bother having that bit?
Interesting.
It's like they lack confidence in the entire concept.
What they've done is they've missed out on it's Cliff Richard. Actually, they've missed out on that opportunity, because if they'd have called it LSF, people would have been saying, "What is that Kasabian song LSF? What does that stand for?" And then they'd have got a bit of a buzz going on. But no, they give us the whole thing.
Yeah.
Showed us the working out.
They're
Kasabian.
over-explaining.
That's why you never see them anymore.
Is it?
Are they done now? Is Kasabian done?
No idea.
It's quite a statement.
I better not say there might be a rush on their shares.
Also, we're Absolute Radio.
No, they'll always be big on Absolute
Yeah,
Radio.
of course.
They may be massive, I don't know. It's been a strange time for us all. Oh, it's all right. I played my "It's been a strange time" card, which can get you out of anything nowadays.
It can,
It
can't
can,
it?
yeah.
That's what I was thinking about when we were talking about Mr. Shirt before. I was like,
Mr.
is the rage that led to Mr. Shirt just about the strangeness of
staying
the
in.
time? Yeah, everyone
Staying
stayed in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now he's yelling Mr. Shirt at a fan
Yeah.
who paid money to see you.
But you know what? The legacy of that, I will now be yelling Mr. Shirt for the rest of my life.
But Mr. Shirt probably dashed from work. That's why he was in a shirt.
Oh, I know. That's the thing. It was so innocent for him.
Because he was so, it's hard to get to at the O2
Also,
for a lot of people.
It's expensive. Let's be honest, Ian. I feel I can call you Ian.
I think you
Yeah.
can.
Relatively, quite intimately acquainted with one of your colleagues.
True.
I feel
I
it's
say
not
true.
cheap.
I'm taking your word for it.
Yeah. You're not at the Underworld or one of these gigs now. I mean, it's expensive an O2 gig. People
Yes.
are going to wear shirts.
Because people are coming from their city, a job in the city, perhaps.
Exactly, yeah. And they've got a shirt, and the guy's took his tie off and his jacket. Thank God.
Oh my God! If Mr. Shirt had had a tie on, are you kidding me?
I tell you, if Mr. Shirt had become Mr. Necktie,
Oh God!
I think he would have leapt from the stage.
Like a full body tackle.
Crazed animal.
Necktie!
As he said, this is what gigs are like now in the 21st century. All right.
The 21st century. The 60-year-old.
Light review of the 21st century. Oh, man. Yeah, Ian, and the rest of us have sort of, we've become acclimatised, mate. Be straight with you.
Can I ask a quick question? I will. Ian Astbury.
Yeah.
Does he? What's the hair like now?
Well, that's a good point. And I have photographic evidence of this because I was so shocked. Because I thought he was a short-haired guy for about 8 songs.
Oh, boy.
And then he started messing with what I thought was a microphone, what we used to call a Madonna microphone, but what young people call a microphone. And I realised he was adjusting a man bun, and then suddenly there was a cascade.
I feel ill. I feel physically nauseated. While behind you, your producer is sort of like fanning herself as though she finds it quite attractive.
She likes the bun.
No.
Well, he looked very, Neil Oliver, the historian, a Scottish guy who has those very long black hair. Does lots of shots standing on mountains.
It's not doing it for me.
Yeah. He's on because I recorded one of his series and Buzz saw it. He said, what's that thing with Loki? I said, no, that's not. It's not Loki.
But
it's a historian.
When the hair came down, I mean, how can I ask this delicately? Was it an Andre Agassi vibe you got from it?
It was luxuriant.
It's not.
But I'm going to show you the pictures, but really it was like a different... I got excited about that quick change artist at the circus the other week. It was like that.
Similar thing.
But from a sort of barber's point of view.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Sara Barron. We are not live, so do not text the show. You've been told. I've got 2 exclamation marks on my announcement sheet. Follow on Twitter and Instagram. That's okay. At Frank on the Radio. We put a picture of me with the day I looked good. The one day I looked good. And also email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
We've had a response, by the way, Sarah, to Frank's looking good.
Oh, yeah.
Really kind people have been, Frank.
Oh, that's nice. I like kindness.
Pauline Atkins. I think it might be my age, but my first thought was those shoes look comfy.
Yes. Well, it's the width, you see, as has been established, a camper width. I'm going to start saying, it was a camper width away.
Camper width shoe.
I'm going to start... When I was in the car this morning, the driver said one of those, you get a bus through there. This guy was taking a long time. I'm going to say, wait, that's a camper width. Either side there.
The best unit of measurement we've ever heard was on, do you remember, Frank, Big Brother, when Lady Sov...
Oh, yes.
What did she say, Lady Sov?
She said a cat's paw... what was it she was talking about?
It was food, and someone said, how much of this do you want?
Just a cat's paw.
Just a cat's paw.
Yeah.
An elegant use of language. Frank, I also, from a place of love, want to correct you. I don't think this is the only day you've ever looked good.
Okay.
I think it's a day you nailed a new look.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
None of this self-deprecation. Come on.
I'm. This is a new experience for me. That people actually, when I walk in the room, going, "Wow."
Hey.
Yeah.
So I have a little story that I wanted to get into, a little something I saw in the news, if I may, Frank and Em. So in daylight robbery news, classic category of news story, a customer at an Italian cafe got so angry about the cost of his espresso that he called the police. So this customer, he tells the police that and I've really practiced this pronunciation. Are you ready? Okay. Ditta Artigianale.
Right.
Good.
The Ditta Artigianale cafe had charged him €2, so this is £1.70, after making his decaf espresso, but didn't display the price clearly on the menu at the bar. So this is where the rage comes from. The owner of the cafe, which is in Florence, where the local price on average is €1. Okay, so it's almost double the average price, was handed €1,000 fine by the police, and his comment, his defense, quality has to be paid for.
Yeah.
He's not
Okay?
wrong.
And he's not wrong. What I love about this is that the call to the police, he actually followed through on making that call. Because
Yeah.
for me, if we've all been in a rage. I'm an enraged lady, so it's a very familiar feeling to me to be like, the rage is checking. But by the time I'm hitting the second 9 out of 999 or whatever the Italian equivalent is, by that second 9, I'm going. All right, I need to calm down here. But this guy's like, no. We're powering through. I'm calling the police.
It's
I want
actually
this
gone
guy.
that far.
He goes
and
that
I also
far.
anticipated the police would say, yes, sir, well, we'll look into it. Put the phone down and say, honestly, people.
They arrived and they find him.
But what I liked was the man, the cafe man, did what I would call a rant on social media. And this is what the gist of the rant was. I opened this cafe and it's very highly priced coffee because I'm going for the very, very best stuff. He said, this coffee that I got the man was from a small plantation 1,600 metres in the Chiapas region of Mexico. Right. Don't reveal the magic, mate.
Yes.
I don't want to know how it's done. But he said, I started that. He said, and now this man has gone to the police and I've had to... Can you believe he held up the form he'd been sent? And I thought, let me get this right. We're supposed to, in this battle, we're supposed to side with the guy who has made a feature out of overpricing. That's his thing.
That's what he's going
We're
for.
supposed to think, oh, what a shame for that guy who's made a feature out of overpricing his goods. He's been caught out.
No,
I'm with the pedantic,
I think I am with the
angry guy.
pedantic as well, but what I really also like to picture, how long has it taken for those police to come? And what is the dynamic and the small talk and the energy between cafe owner and angry patron as they wait for police to arrive?
Please.
The question that haunted me was this guy phoned the police, right? How angry would he have been if he'd had a caffeinated espresso?
SAS.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Now, we were talking about this Florence. Well, it was in Florence, wasn't it?
It was Florentine.
It was Florentine. And what I liked, I loved everything about the man that called the police. As you can imagine, Frank, and as you may be growing to learn, sir, I identified with the man that called the police.
It sounds like all three of us are sort of more into the pedantry than the overpricing.
But as you said, it's the following it through, the whole
it's so
thing
wild.
going that far.
So wild.
He committed. Respect. He called the police, and imagine how thrilled he was when they turned up.
Oh,
Was he, though? You see, that would be when I'd think, oh, should I have called the police?
no, but this is the guy who does it, and the guy who does it, I think, and I say this with some bit of respect and being on his side, self-reflection, which is what you just sort of gave us, Frank, is not part of this guy's makeup.
No.
You're not thinking a lot about your choices. You're following through on your
Here's
instincts.
a question to you both. Have either of you, I'll ask you first, Frank Skinner, have you ever invoked the I'm calling the police? That question first to Frank Skinner.
so dark,
You know what?
potentially.
I don't think I ever have.
Okay.
I think the worst thing I've done in that kind of a thing that when I heard myself say, I felt I immediately went from in the right to in the wrong. I was at I had a party. This is a long time ago, but I had a party at my. Actually, not that long ago. A guy was just drunk and annoying, and was annoying some people who I liked and weren't really able to cope with his annoyingness. And I'd said, "Look, you need to go. You just got to go." And I knew him a bit. And I said, "Just get out." And it was really got quite heavy. And as he left, and I said, "Yeah, you know what? I'd never come back." That's how it had got. By the time we got to the door, and then as he went, I said, "Get this. This is when it switched for me." And I said, "And that applies to my other properties as well." And suddenly, I went from the good guy to the bad guy.
This might be
In a breath, Frank.
Oh man, I'm ashamed.
And that
I'm truly
applies to
ashamed.
my other properties as well. And were you overheard by Kath? Was there any?
Look,
or
I
you
was
just knew it?
overheard by God.
Great.
That
You were
was
overheard by
my
God.
problem.
Do you know what I like? It's very Lord Grantham in Downton Abbey. It's how he'd see off some ruffians. Clear off.
Oh, it was bad. Anyway,
I love it. So have you
I've
ever-
never threatened to call the
You're
police.
not the type to say I'm calling the police because it's a
Also,
bit
in
hyacinth
Italy, I'd be worried that if you see the police in Italy, I'd be worried they might steal my partner or something.
Mafioso. You're saying mafioso?
No, I'm not. I'm saying they're all like really sexy and that, the Italian policemen.
in that way. Where was I? Oh, I did, for the first time, I did stand up on a cruise ship a couple weeks ago, which was
Okay.
its own thing. But for this reason, I flew into Lisbon.
Hmm.
And let me tell you what, okay, the gentlemen's working in airport security in Lisbon, holy mackerel. I mean, I'm not saying they've got anything on Frank Skinner and his new Luke today, but those are some cutie patoots. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, good to know.
Nevertheless.
You should do a traveller's guide.
I'm not saying there was a great joke at the end of that sentence, but I'm just
No.
informing people lest they want to know. I have never ever called the police.
Have you said I'm going to?
No.
Have you threatened?
No. I've never. I'm not a threatener. I rage, but it's more. I'm more likely to repeatedly slam a door than
I'm feeling
threaten.
in the old comedy rule of three that Emily has at least threatened to call the police.
Emily, have you yourself threatened?
Hold that answer and we'll find out after this.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We were talking earlier about whether we were I'm calling the police types. And something tells me both of you feel perhaps that falls to me, that label.
I was guessing.
I can feel it off you.
Can I tell you what I used to do when I was younger? Again, I'm not proud of this.
There's a habit.
I'm not proud of this. But I would say at a horribly precocious young age, I think I might have heard this in a film or something, I would say
Oh no.
I would refer to a lawyer because I thought that sounded, I think on some level, I think I'd heard it or something in Dallas or something.
Yeah.
So I would say I'll speak to my parents' lawyer, I would say. I don't even know if they had a lawyer.
That's like the
wonderful.
girl in the John Wayne version of True Grit, which is my favourite film of all time.
Oh.
He's always threatening people with my lawyer Daggett, who is this, and he turns up at the end eventually, but she's always saying I will get lawyer Daggett to come and sort it out.
Yeah, I thought that sounded more frightening.
Yeah, well, it does.
Just at sort of parties,
It's
sort of,
terrifying.
teenage years, if anyone was misbehaving. I didn't really work, but generally with the police, I have actually called, I remember we called the police when a friend of mine was staying at our house and we had a tent in the garden and some local ruffians, they stole something out of our tent. We called the police then.
Oh, okay.
So that was for...
I think that's...
They stole
yeah.
our Walkman and our pink dungarees.
My father.
Oh, really? What
Pink
were they
dungarees.
making a children's TV show on the cheap?
Play school presenters down on their luck.
Well, I'm sure there's plenty of them around.
Yeah, there you go.
I was going to say, and then this story takes a slightly dark turn, but I'll try and get it out of the hole. My father called the police once, and I know I'm talking to a very dog-friendly crowd. My father is not a dog person, and when I was 12 years old, I was rollerblading. From the end of the road, a lady called out, get off the pavement. My dog hates rollerblades. And I sort of, as a child, a 12-year-old, sort of pivot onto the grass to stop myself. The dog charges at me, jumps onto my stomach, bites through my t-shirt. So I have a little scar to this day.
Wow.
And I'm sobbing, and there's an adult yelling at me, and I'm a child, and and I'm I'm not hurt, but in fact, skin was broken. My father finds this out. As someone who already doesn't love dogs, which we now understand, my dad does like dogs. What he doesn't like is a certain kind of dog owner, which obviously this lady personifies that kind of thing, and went knocking door to door within a 2-mile radius until he found this woman and the dog and got the dog taken away.
Oh, what?
Can I just say, thank you for using the euphemism taken away.
Yeah.
I
No,
appreciate
it
that.
was taken.
Okay.
I think. Maybe
Okay.
it wasn't taken away, but
Okay.
that's what I was told as a child.
Of course you were. Yeah.
Dark turn of a story.
The tortoise is hibernating.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that on Absolute Homicide, our sister channel. Wow, that's yeah. My partner was came in and said, I've been rot cat. She said, I was running on Hampstead Heath and a dog has just bitten me.
Oh my
and I
God.
thought, yeah. And then she lowered her running trousers. Those were the days.
Oh, here we go.
And there was blood running down her leg from this bite. And I said, oh, God, what did the owner say? She said it was a woman. And I showed her, and she said, well, he's never done that before.
Oh my.
I said, imagine trying that.
Imagine.
If you were a defence lawyer. Yes, this man killed a man with an axe in a McDonald's. But to be fair, he's never done that before.
First time.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
So this comes from Tom, who has written in to say, "Good morning, team. I was listening to
Good
this."
morning, Tom.
Good morning, Tom. I was listening to this week's podcast whilst reading an article about the Queen being shown around Chelsea Flower Show by the president of the Royal Horticultural Society, Keith Weed.
Oh, come on.
Oh, man.
No.
He's very unwanted in those circles.
As I read this, I thought, what a strange name for the role. And then you were discussing nominative determinism. Does Mr. Weed have to resign now this has come to light? I think, if anything, he digs his heels in and says, I'm the only one for the
Digs?
job. Digs!
The nominative determinism, of course, is, as we've often mentioned on the show, is when your name seems to have some effect on what happens to your life.
So he's the president of the... It's called the
Bomber Harris was a good example.
Yes, the RHS, I believe it's called. And I know this because I came in this morning and I had a tag on my bag, and the girls on the show, I think they thought I was being a bit boastful.
Oh.
I had, one of those tags like the Ascot tags. Have you seen them on bags? And it said on it, Royal Horticultural Society, Chelsea Flower Show, here's the killer, after hours.
Nice.
Emily, you're
Here's
so
the weed killer.
fancy.
If only they said after flowers.
I was invited. I was invited via a charity called St Mungo's, which is a wonderful charity. But I went
This
there.
is the Chelsea Flower Show.
Chelsea
It's a
Flower
wonderful
Show.
charity opposed to some quite rubbish charities.
There are
you
some
get.
rubbish ones, I've got to be honest. But
Let's not
go
them.
there. No,
We'll put them on our website.
But they do horticultural therapy for homelessness, which I approve of. Anyway, I've never been. It was my first time, and I loved it. There were a lot of men which I liked.
Interesting.
With those sort of Panama hats.
Oh yeah.
They
love a Panama.
Oh, it's a no from me, but continue.
But when
No?
the thing is with those Panama hats, there's a certain. You look inside, and the label says Panama hat. It's a real brand. It's a copyrighted brand. I thought it was a sort of genre, but it's a brand.
There was a gentleman with a pink shirt, of course. With a
Mr.
Panama.
Shirt. What a week he's had. That well-trodden path from the Chelsea Flower Show to Alice Cooper live.
I've got to be off in a second. Can you keep an eye on the Delphiniums?
I'm seeing the cult at 7:45.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Anyway,
meanwhile,
Chelsea Flower Show.
over at the Chelsea Flower Show with the elderly gents in the Panama hats and the pink shirts and the Delphiniums, I ran into Kerry Godleman there.
Oh,
you familiar?
Brilliant.
Huge
Carrie
fan.
Godleman.
We love her, but her mother, I'm obsessed by her mother. She started...
Old Ma Godleman.
Old Ma Godleman. I love old Ma Godleman.
Okay.
She's saying to Kerry, you and me, we should do a podcast. Kerry's like, no, Mum, no.
Okay.
And then she starts.
She's picked a moment. I need to ask her, Chelsea Fowler.
Chelsea Fowler.
So, when she's got the pollen in her.
I loved her because she was. She had the Frank Skinner approach to honesty, and she said,
I'm nervous.
"It's okay.
What
I think
did she
this is
say?
okay."
What did she say?
I think this is okay. Kerry said, "Oh, Emily does the show with Frank Skinner, Mum. She's a fan."
Okay.
But what she said, she put a little caveat in there, which I liked. She said, "Do you know, I really started to like him once he started playing that banjo."
I said I've never phoned the police. It's a ukulele!
I know.
Anyway.
But I like the fact that it was that. And Kerry said, "Oh, she likes all those George Formby stuff."
Oh, well, see, I've...
I think the phrase
I think I can hear the creaking door of her bath as we speak.
I got the sense that she thought you'd cleaned up your act.
Yeah, I think that,
Okay.
she should not come to my Edinburgh show.
Oh, no, you're not doing the blue thing.
Well, it creeps in. I'm fighting it.
It's my... No, I don't think it should be fought. I think it should be embraced.
No, I can't listen to it.
I tell you, you know what? I said I went to the O2 to see the AC this week. That was my second visit to the O2 in consecutive nights.
What?
I know. Can you imagine that?
No, I can't imagine.
That much travel. It's just too much.
What else?
Did you take a boat both times?
I did, and I'd actually written in my diary O2 times 2, which sounds like something that Einstein would write in his diary. But my son was in a thing called Young Voices.
Shut up.
Which is half the O2 is school children in these white T-shirts singing.
Okay.
And there's a stage in the middle, and the rest is just adoring parents.
Okay, that's sweet.
If you hear, whatever it is, a few thousand school children singing like that, the sound effect they use for a locust attack in old films? That sort of... It's like... I was rushing to throw a tarpaulin over the crops when they first started.
I was waiting to see the tears coming down. When you hear children's voice.
Oh, it was great. They did. Yolanda Brown was on, the sax player, and they did Lovely Day. Lovely Day.
Bill Withers.
Oh, yeah. Do you know Bill Withers?
Yeah.
No, but thanks for the tip. And
thanks for the warning.
So the kids did the day. So you can go Lovely
God.
Day.
Yeah,
Lovely Day.
okay.
And oh man. And at the end of it I lost 3 fields of corn. Anyway, it was great. It was great.
Did
it was
you feel
moving.
moved? I was going to say, did you cry? Did you cry?
I think I did cry at one point. Yeah.
You gotta cry.
Yeah, it was very, very moving and really good.
And no one shouted, you and your Mr. White T-shirts.
No,
children.
no one shouted
Good.
that. I'm glad to say. So look, anyway, can I say, and I'm going to, Series 5 of my poetry podcast starts on Wednesday. You can download Frank Skinner's Poetry Podcast wherever you get your podcast. Sarah, it's a joy having you in as ever.
Thank you so much.
Emily, it's always a joy having you in. And thanks to our readers for listening to us this morning. And if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be... And if the creeks don't... Oh...
You can do it.
I can't do it. Goodbye.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.